Happy holidays to everybody here in the United States and all across the world. This is Dr. Ayo Olufade, the host of STEAM Spark Think STEAM Career Podcast. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we have a really fantastic episode. Today, we're going to be talking to Dr. Justin Rittenhouse. So, the title of today's episode is From Working Class Kid to PhD. Today's episode is all about storytelling. It's all about the story of growth and giving back. If we all kind of look back and think about our beginning, I believe that we have a lot of stories, good stories that can inspire many generations. So we are going to be talking with Dr. Rittenhouse today. So let's talk about Dr. Rittenhouse. Who is he? Dr. Rittenhouse is a product development engineer, and he's also a mechanical engineer. And he wrote a book. The title of his book is called Secret Keys to STEAM Degree. I just love that. The book, it talks about the wisdom he wished he had while pursuing an engineering degree. It is designed to help students navigate the challenges of earning STEAM degrees and launching a career in science, technology, engineering, and math. I've always said it's all about positioning. So today we're going to be talking to Dr. Rittenhouse, and he's going to be sharing a lot about his background, what inspired him to pursue STEAM degree, and what he can share with the young generation about what he could have done better, what he know now that he didn't know then. Hopefully he can share that ideas with you and help you navigate. So a little bit about him with a strong focus on research and development. He is passionate about driving innovation to solve real-world challenges. Over the past decade, he has gained expertise in structural mechanics, advanced analytical tools, material testing, project management. His R&D experience includes leading design session and facilitating open discussion to enhance project outcome, proposing and initiating the integration of AI into manufacturing. Ooh, I love that. AI, we all know about AI, the power of AI. So he's the person, one of the people that you have in your toolkit to reach out to on LinkedIn. If you have any question on AI, we all could use a help on that one. Everyone is integrating AI into their workforce, into their businesses. He is the person. He is the go-to person. Also designing custom cable assemblies for commercial and defense customers. Leading project from brainstorming new concept through commercialization and manufacturing. Leading the design of innovative manufacturing line, pioneering advances in efficient throughput, initiating and implementing automated testing, including the development of Arduino-based embedded system, and then building production equipment from repurposed component using Arduino as a new controller. What is that, Dr. Rittenhouse? What is that? Can you please school me on this one?
Yeah. So Arduino is a little board. You get them pretty cheap offline, and it's not, I don't think it's technically classified as a computer, but for layman terms, call it a really small computer.
Okay.
It's not overly powerful, but it can handle a lot of input-outputs type commands.
Wow, excellent. Dr. Rittenhouse, did I do it justice in announcing you or sharing your profile, talking about you? Is there anything else that I missed, sir?
I think you did fantastic. The only thing I would add
Yes, sir.
is if you look at the dates on my jobs, I'll add two things. You look at the date on my jobs and my degrees, you can see I work full time throughout my degrees.
Wow.
And then as far as like, obviously the end goal of education is to get a degree. I have done most levels, I've done internships, I've done co-ops, I've done engineering management, and then I've done normal engineering work. So I do have a broad background. So if anyone ever wants to reach out to me, there's a strong possibility I've done whatever level they're at. We're applying for internships, I've done it. Co-ops, I've done it. So I do have a broad background.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you so much for clarifying that. I appreciate that. And about your book, we're going to get back to that later on. I'm really excited. I want to tell you, I'm going to buy that book because my daughter, as I've mentioned to you previously, she is pursuing engineering. So but she
How
also
about
wants
this?
to. Yes, sir.
How about
Go
this?
ahead. Yes, sir.
Instead of you buying it, how about you
Yes.
email me your address and I'll send
Okay.
you a free copy?
Awesome. Thank you so much. Wow.
Wonderful.
I truly appreciate that. You see, he's giving back. He's giving
I
back.
try.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's the way it's supposed to be. I appreciate you for that. But we're going to get a lot of gem out of this book or listening to you talking about your book. So the purpose of your book is guidance for STEM student, offering practical advice for succeeding in STEM program, career preparation. It also helped readers understand how to transition from academic team. And then you are going to share lessons from your own journey through aerospace engineering study and personal work. Okay, Dr. Rittenhouse, I want to change the format of our conversation. Why don't we start with your book, if you do not mind? Can you please tell us a little bit about your book? What is it about?
So basically, a little bit about my background. You kind of hit on it. I grew up working class, and my dad's a mechanic, and my mom's a factory worker. So I had no one to lean on to go to college. I wrote the book basically. I mean, you kind of said in the subtitle of the book, the wisdom I wish I had while pursuing a STEM degree. So I wrote the book with that in mind. Basically, all the information I wish I had. So it includes everything from why you should and shouldn't go to college, how to get scholarships, how to apply for internships. Both of them are huge for your long-term success. And then even little, basically everything I wish I knew when I went to college.
So while writing the book, what were some of the challenges that you ran into writing that book?
It's a lot of work. It took me 5, 6 years probably to write it. So it took a very, very long time. So that was probably the biggest challenge. And then I also didn't want it to be 100. So a lot of it is my experiences and good examples and stuff like that in the book of things I've done and my experiences. And I know people can learn from that. But I also did a lot of research. If you look in the back of the book,
Yes.
I have 79, I believe, citations.
Wow.
So I didn't want it to be 100% opinion. I also wanted to make sure it was fact-based. So I did a lot of research and stuff like that as well to make sure the book was factful as well. So just how long it took to write was the biggest challenge.
Okay, I asked you that question for a reason. There are many people like you and I who have come from the bottom up to the top that want to tell their story, but they don't know how to start. So I'm hoping that by hearing from you, that can inspire someone in regards to what to do in writing a book or writing a story and help to guide those that are coming behind. So your book is a guide to the next generation of students interested or pursuing STEAM degrees. Can you offer some practical advice for succeeding in college or STEAM program, please?
Oh, for sure. I'll get to that in 1 second. To go back to how to help someone who doesn't know where to get started,
Yes, sir.
my recommendation is always just start. Like when I started writing the book, I had no clue how to get it on Amazon for sale. I knew none of this. I just knew I wanted to write a book. So I wrote the book. And then once I had the book done, I Googled and I researched how to edit the book, like get an editor. And basically, you have to break things down into steps and do one step at a time. who cares about steps 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10? You're not there yet. Focus on step number 1, and then focus on step number 2, and then 3. So that's my advice on getting started. As far as guidance on going through an engineering degree, I have a few thoughts on that. Again, it's all laid out well in my book. The first is experience matters. When you apply for internships and you apply for jobs, they ask about your experience, whether that's a prior internship or even a school project. So when you do a school project, like for a class, don't pick something randomly. Pick something you want to do. If you want to look at NASA, pick a project that is actually aligns with their mission and their goals. Try to align your projects the best you can with what you want to do long term. And then coupled with that, experience matters so much. I've had interviews with companies for even internships that won't hire you unless you had previous internship experience. So while it's difficult to get a good internship after your freshman year, you need to try. Then you definitely need to try after your sophomore year. You need to be applying for internships. You normally apply in fall, so like September, October, and then springtime, you have your interviews often, and then you look at your internship in the summer. So don't wait to apply. Come fall, in some competitive internships, you actually have to apply in the previous summer. So make sure you're not waiting. Apply early and apply often to many internships. And then also, don't be afraid to reach out to professors. If you know, like I went to Western Michigan, and just using NASA as an example, you know you want to work for NASA, there are plenty of professors at Western Michigan that work with NASA. So don't be afraid to reach out to those professors and ask if you can work with them on one of their projects or one of their research projects. So I would say try to get experience in what you want to do often and early as you can.
Thank you so much. You know, while listening to you, it really took me back to when I was in college. I wish I knew what you're saying now. So for example, when I was given a project, I was just trying to survive. I was not thinking in regards to, okay, let me do that project in the area of interest or the career path that I want to pursue, right? Because had I done that, not only will it give me a lot of wealth of information about that career path, but at least it will position me to be well versed in that career path. So when I go for an interview, then I will be in a better position to be able to impress whoever is interviewing me. I didn't think about that. The other thing that I didn't think about when I was in college, I never thought about reaching out to my professors and really asking them for a lead. You mentioned uh, the school that you went to in Michigan. There are a lot of professors that collaborate with NASA, but I'm pretty sure that Iowa State University or at Johns Hopkins University, Granville University, there are many professors that had collaboration with NIH, with NASA. Had I reached out to them, probably I would have get a head start, but I didn't do that. But so that is why I feel this book will be great for a young person coming up. Do you want to add any more to that, Dr. Rittenhouse?
Well, I think that's pretty good. And like I said, don't be afraid. I guess I should elaborate on that. A lot of freshmen or even earlier education or like right out of high school might not think they know enough to reach out. Professors know where you're at academically, and they're not giving you more than you can handle. They might give you more than you think you can handle, but they know where you're at. So if you're a freshman, reach out. And the professor, if she or he has an opening, will give you tasks that you can handle with the knowledge you have. And of course, they'll make sure you're growing your knowledge as well.
Excellent. So let's talk about career preparation. Can you help our readers understand how to transition from academia to professional STEM career, please?
Yeah. I talked about internships. I think internships and co-ops while you're in school are huge. The first questions you're going to be asked when you have jobs are what experience do you have? And to build on that, you can also get experience by doing your own projects and stuff like that. Like if you can't work with a professor or something like that, you can still tackle projects on your own. So build that experience. And then when you're applying for jobs, one thing we might not teach you is personality matters. So make sure you don't come off arrogant or anything like that. You want to come off humble and kind. And while you're interviewing, you should show interest in the job. Industry is wildly different from academia.
Hmm.
It's just different. And when you start industry, like I tell people, academia, like engineering, we don't know what industry, we know, like you pick mechanical engineering. We know you're probably going to be a mechanical engineer. When that topic is so broad, we don't know exactly what you're doing. So when you get a mechanical engineering degree, it's a foundation that you build off from when you join industry. When you start working in industry, you start building off that foundation the bachelor's degree got you. But no one in industry is on the illusion that someone with just out of college with a bachelor's degree is going to have the knowledge of someone that's been working in that field for the last 10, 20, 30 years. So if you feel like you don't know enough, that's a very common feeling when you first get out of college and start. Because you put all this work into studying, you learn all these concepts, and you feel like you know so much information. And then you go in industry and you realize, shoot, I don't know as much as I thought I knew. Perfectly normal. Over years of experience working in a particular field of mechanical engineering, you're going to become very knowledgeable about that. And actually, my book, I have a story about that from, I went to a community college too for a couple of years, and I had a professor, Mr. Drake, and at the time I didn't get it, and now it could not be more true. He had 4 circles on the board. The first one was like half full. He's like, when I got my bachelor's degree in mathematics, I thought I knew half of everything in the field of mathematics. And then the next circle was 2/3 of the way full. And then the next one was 2/3, which was college. He got his bachelor's degree, and he thought, I learned more. I almost know all there is to know about mathematics. And then his third circle was like 1/3 of the way full. He graduated from grad school. He's like, so I went to grad school and I learned more. I knew more math, but now I know more math exists. So I know more, but I know less I know less in the whole math domain. And then the fourth circle, he didn't filled, he had little cracks in the circle filled, a few little cracks. And he said, after teaching mathematics for 30 years, I now realize I only know small cracks in the domain that is mathematics, nothing more, because the domain is so big. That's kind of what happens when you go into industry. You get the foundation with your bachelor's degree, but then you start specializing and you learn one domain, and there's always more to learn.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that advice. What about professors or teachers who want to go from academia into the industry? What advice do you have for them? I know this is not one of the questions that we wanted to talk about, but I'm interested in that. Since you're giving a lot of wisdom to the young people that I probably let's diversify a little bit. Let's give a little to the adults who are already academia, teaching, professors that are interested in going from academia to the industry. Any advice for them, sir?
My number one advice for anyone, even teachers and students, is using a network. Knowing people can often lead to a job interview a lot faster than even like a high GPA or something like that. So definitely reach out to your network to see it. Even like if you know someone that works at company X, look online at company X for their job posting, then reach out to your friend and apply there. And then my second piece of advice is, of course, you have to apply. And then when I go to interviews, because the job posting has the criteria that they want, you almost are never going to reach it 100%. I don't think I ever read a criteria for a job posting and I'm like, I have all that experience. But what I do is literally I print it out, and then next to each line that they want, like there's things like job requirements or experience requirements or however they word it, I put a little note on how I meet that experience, or if I don't meet it, how closely I do meet it, or what experience that I have that I think applies to that. And if it's something I don't know, I YouTube it or I Google it and I'm like, I don't even know what that means. So I Google it and I'm like, oh, it means this. I haven't done this, but I've done that. So I put that as a little note next to that job posting. So make sure you're well prepared. And that also applies when you apply. Like if you put in your resume things that are only for teaching, you're probably not going to get the job, right? Unless you're applying for a teaching job. It's, to be blunt, recruiters care about how you can help the company. That's what they care about. So you need to spin your resume, being honest. I'm not saying lie by any means, but spin your resume to focus on the job you're applying for. Like if you're a teacher and you teach robotics, some bullet points on your resume and you're applying for like a robotics job should be about developing robotic stuff, not necessarily I taught in class with 500 students, because when you look in industry, you're not going to teach a class of 500 students. But what is super relevant is your class developed this awesome robot, which is completely relatable to the job you're applying to. So always think about how your experiences align with the job you're applying for. Not necessarily all, because we can all have a resume that's 10 pages long, but if 99% of it is not relevant, we're just going to skip it. So make sure every single bullet point is relevant to the job you're applying for, or you can also have bullet points that show that you make an impact, that you're successful, that you're a hard worker, would be my advice there.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So this is, I'm sharing the wrong file. Excuse me for a second. I'm going to share your book. Give me a moment. So can you see it, sir?
I can see it. I will say
Excellent.
a beautiful book cover.
It is a beautiful. I love the color. That's a beautiful book color. Yes, cover. The secret keys to STEM degree, the wisdom I wish I had while pursuing engineering degree. Justin Rittenhouse, PhD. Please, everyone, go and get this book. This is a good book to buy, not only for the young generation, the students who are coming along, but it is also very important for anyone pursuing or thinking about pursuing STEM degrees or thinking about transitioning from academia to the industry. This is a very good book to have. Dr. Rittenhouse, can you tell us a little bit about your background, please?
Yeah.
So, your beginning, for example, what inspired you to write this book? What led you to the field of mechanical engineer?
Yeah, so that's a good question. I wish I had some amazing story about how when I was a toddler, I invented something, but that's not my story. If I was wiser when I was younger, I should have knew that mechanical engineering was my calling call, or at least some kind of STEM degree. For example, like in third grade, I used to do long division for fun. My third grade teacher even gave me a toy car for doing, like, I used to do long division on like recess and lunch and stuff like that. My school advisors used to get mad at me, like literally mad at me. I used to tell them I wasn't going to go to college, it's a waste of time. And that made them not happy. That's what I thought at the time. I remember, so I tell this story a lot. So I remember very vividly when I didn't go to college immediately after high school. So at this time, I was a produce doctor, and I was standing in the back on a pallet, holding another pallet, waiting for, we called him Spike. He was the truck driver. I was waiting for him, and I was just thinking to myself, there's no way I can stock groceries and produce for another 40 years. I can't do that. So that moment in time completely changed my life. I thought, man, I got to do something different. I don't know how I decided to go to college from that moment, but I ended up going to college. And again, I had no one to lean on, so I had no clue what to do. So I actually went for a business degree my very first semester. And then when I got to college, I realized all my friends were engineering majors. So that's probably why I ended up switching to engineering. And it was one of the best decisions of my life. I know we kind of briefly talked about other career opportunities, plumber, electrician. They're all great options, but I could not imagine not going to college and not getting a degree in STEM. That was the best decision of my life, I would say.
Mm. So you also consider a career path in CTE. That is good. Were you thinking about becoming an electrician when you were in high school?
So in high school, I would have never thought about being an electrician. So I probably would have been, if I didn't go to college and I switched careers, it probably would have been along the lines of my dad as a mechanic. I even took small engines in high school. I went to high school, but half of my junior and senior year, I went to a trade school. So I got certified in small engines. So that probably would have been a different route with being a mechanic.
Mm. I wanted to stress that to highlight the importance of the CTE career path
Mm.
because that is important. I teach in a CTE school currently,
Okay.
and we do encourage our students to consider career path and also college. You decided to augment your profession by going to college. And I just want to highlight that that is okay too. I was speaking to the young generation, Dr. Rittenhouse will agree. Find a career path that you're interested in, but you can add more value to that career path by going to college. Going to college increases your earning capacity.
Yeah.
Dr. Rittenhouse.
I actually couldn't agree more. Actually, there's a study out there that 88% of millionaires went to college. So it definitely increases your earning potential. I would say getting a degree in engineering was the wisest financial decision I've ever made. I make far more money, not rich by any means. I don't have a yacht or anything like that. But I grew up very blue collar and I definitely make far more money than I thought I would make, for sure. There's no doubt in my mind. I could not have fathomed making more than like 15, $20 an hour when I was growing up. And obviously, engineering, you can make a lot more than that. So I think it was a wise decision. But you can also make a lot of money being an electrician. You can be a millwright. You go in the army. There's so many paths that don't have to go to college. But for me personally, it was one of the best decisions of my life. And I do recommend getting a degree in STEM or STEAM.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rittenhouse. So, what were some of the biggest challenges you faced as a first generation college student from working class background. You mentioned your father was a mechanic, correct? If I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken.
Yeah. I think how do you even navigate college? Like, you don't know anything. People who have parents that went to college underestimate how much their parents help them navigate college. When you have no one to lean on, you really don't know what to do, right? You have advisors, college advisors that help you pick classes, but you see them 1 hour in the fall and 1 hour in the spring to help, maybe not even that long, a half an hour to help you pick classes. I didn't really know how to pick classes outside of that without talking to an advisor. I didn't know what classes I should take. I didn't know what I should do as a major. Like I said, I started out as a business major and I only switched because my friends were engineering majors. I also didn't know how to pay for college. I actually started out, I went to a community college. Thank God on that because they're significantly cheaper, which I completely recommend community colleges. I started out there. So my first couple of semesters, I was working full time. I was able to pay for out of pocket. Well, actually, I wasn't able to pay for out of pocket, and I had no clue how to pay for it. And then, thankfully, I was able to talk to someone a friend of a friend type thing. They told me about like FAFSA and Pell Grants and stuff like that. So I was able to apply that. But like all these little things that your parents just tell you, no one told me. So I didn't know. So that's just how to navigate college in the early years was the toughest. And I want to also say I didn't learn them little things, but obviously my parents still taught me a lot of other little things. Like I know how to change blinks on a car. I know how to change oil. Like I learned different things than how to go to college.
Yeah, I have a similar ideas. Science has always been something that sort of interests me, but now sometimes I wonder. I wish, and also my dad. One of the things I want to say about my dad is he loved to work on his car. So that is one trait that I regret not really learning.
Mm.
My focus was science and books, but it worked out really well. Sometimes, when you have to fix your car, those those skills really comes really handy. Thank you so much for sharing. You mentioned parents. It's very important that we're talking to you. So, any advice on how parents can support their children who are interested in going to STEAM school? As you and I know, you were interested in mechanical engineering. Your dad was a mechanic. My dad was a policeman and he loved to work on his cars. My dad probably wants me to join the police force. Probably your dad will have liked you to pursue a career in a CTE career path. Based on my own experience,
Yeah.
with what came from the ground up, right? There are many parents who are in that kind of situation. My dad at that time, maybe you can relate to this, I don't think he understood my vision. When I had to choose between career path, I chose science. I can't remember any moment in which he was able to give me a good support. So, and that is why I'm asking you, what advice will you give parents who have no experience on STEAM or what it is, but their children are interested in pursuing STEAM career path? How can they support their children? What can they do?
So my first thought is I do want to say my dad did support me. He was very helpful. He didn't he didn't do college himself, so he didn't support me in navigating college. But my dad's role when I was in college was as long as I was in school, I don't have to pay rent. So one way he supported me was giving me a place to live, which is obviously pretty huge. And then another way is in letting them know that a STEM career is an amazing career. We already talked about, obviously, it can pay pretty well and stuff like that. But also, like, it's a white collar type job, meaning you don't have to work outside in the conditions most of the time. I have worked outside some days, but most of the time I'm in an office, I'm in AC. I'm not doing any physical harm to my body. So, and So it's just a good career to get into. And then probably the best way to support them is teach them about debt.
Mm.
Debt is a huge problem, and students need to limit the amount of debt they take out. Ideally to none, but I did take out student loans, so I'm not going to be hypocritical if they don't take out student loans. But you do have to limit debt the best you can. And on that, I think people need to learn about scholarships. I mean, actually learn. A lot of people think scholarships, this is what I thought back in the day, were only for quote unquote smart students. Now I know smart is only relative to the topic you're talking about, but yes, there are scholarships that are only for those that have a past history of academic success. But there are so many more scholarships out there. So I'll give you some examples. So obviously, it's no secret I talk a little funny. I can't hide it. It's who I am. I was born with a cleft palate.
I don't think you talk funny. So
Thank you.
you're welcome. I can hear you. I
Uh,
can understand you very clear and loud. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
You-
I do talk a little different. And yeah, I was born with a cleft palate and a cleft lip. I think the palate caused my voice, but I got a scholarship for that. And then I'm from a small town in Michigan. In that small town, they give out scholarships.
Hmm.
Those ones are competitive, but it's only for people from the town. So I don't have to compete with everyone all over the USA. I only compete with people from my town. So it's a lot easier for that. And then my one friend, he got a minority scholarship for his PhD program, meaning it paid for all his PhD classes, and it gave him a stipend to live off of. So he lived off that scholarship for like 3 or 4 years because he was a minority. And then not only that, you can get enough scholarships, depending how many you apply to cover not only your tuition, but your books, and even some cases your housing. So apply for many, many different scholarships. In one piece of advice I like to give people, in my case, it wasn't cleft palate, but think about what's unique about you. Do you have a birth defect? Or what town you're born in? Are you a minority? Think about what's unique about you and look up scholarships in that area. Because when you're unique, and all of us are, it limits how many people can apply for said scholarship. So you're fishing in a smaller pond and it's easier to catch a fish when you think about what's unique about you and how to apply for scholarships that uniquely are you.
Hmm. This is wonderful. That led me to another question. How educators, community leader can better reach out to the BIPOC community. BIPOC means Black, Indigenous, People of Color, LGBTQ plus, and non-traditional students, given the current dismantling of DEI and affirmative action. This is one way in which educators and community leaders and parents can help students in the marginalized communities applying to colleges. I think it is very important for students to focus on what you said. In the application, there has to be a section in which they can talk about themselves, what makes them unique. Because people review an application are no longer looking only at just the GPA. Let's say Johns Hopkins University receives many applicants. A lot of those applicants have great GPA. But now a counselor, admission advisor have to make a decision. Which one of the students will be a best fit for our university? I think that's where, your story comes into the conversation, talking about something unique about you. And Dr. Rittenhouse, you talked about what is unique about you. And you actually did more than that. You also applied to looking for scholarship. And I think that this is one way in which parents, teachers, community leaders can actually help students in the marginalized community. Do you want to add more to that, Dr. Ritton?
Yeah, I would love to. So, and I think people underestimate how many scholarships are out there. Do some research. What you find is roughly $100 million in scholarship funds goes unrewarded every year. There's a ton of scholarships out there. And one thing I didn't say is I kind of hinted at it when I didn't say it out loud was you can stack some, you have to read the rules of the scholarship. Some say you don't get X funds if you have other funding. But a lot of scholarships, at least the ones I got, you can stack them. So I got the Crack Palette one was only $500. I shouldn't say only. I got a $500 scholarship for having a Crack Palette. But I got that with other scholarships that I stacked together. So I paid for undergrad out of pocket. I didn't know about scholarships back then. I did get a teaching assistant in grad school. And when that ran out, that's when my professor told me to apply for scholarships. That's when I started applying. And all my grad school was free. The first half was because I was a TA, teaching and research assistant. And the second half, I just applied for a ton of scholarships. And I don't know what percentage I might have got, and probably less than 10%. The ones I applied for, I actually got. So you definitely get your apply for many and then stack them together. And then not only that, you should be filling out your FAFSA, especially for kids from the inner cities. I know people in them environments tend to be closer to the poverty line. It left like $100 million of unawarded scholarships is nothing compared to, I think it's like $3 billion in Pell Grants. So if you are from a poor household, you can probably get college paid for free by Pell Grants. So all that to say is, if you do your research, you apply, you fill out the FAFSA to get Pell Grants, and you apply for scholarships, you can probably get college for free, including money to pay for housing and stuff like that.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Rittenhouse. Let's talk about role models. That is very important. I want to start our conversation with an icebreaker, but I went directly into the book. That this would be a good place to talk about the icebreaker. So, who was a role model for you, sir?
So growing up, I'm going to go ahead and be a little controversial here. But my role model probably, you're not counting family. Obviously, I looked up to my dad a ton. But non-family members was the most skilled basketball player of all time. Yeah, I said it. Kobe Bryant.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, that's controversial.
I know, but I said it.
I still debate between, LeBron James and Michael Jordan. But Kobe was, yeah, I mean, his soul rest in peace. Kobe is good. Yeah, he is good.
So actually, I don't go bowling often. I'm not really good. I rank 100, I'm happy. But every time I go bowling and you have to put in your name, I always put Kobe. Kobe is my bowling name.
Wow.
Relative to NBA players, obviously relative to me and you, he has a lot of traits that make him very good at basketball. But relative to NBA players, he is average across the board. There's no reason he should be in the top 10, top 5, number 1 best basketball players of all time, yet he is. He doesn't have LeBron's godlike knees. He doesn't have Michael Jordan's hands or jumping ability. He doesn't have Shaq's body. Like, there's nothing special about this man except how hard he worked. And yet he made it into, if you don't want to put him in your top 5, okay. But if you don't put him in your top 10, you're just hating. Yet he made it into definitely the top 10 of basketball players of all time with no traits that made him special other than work ethic.
I totally agree. He is in my top 3. So my top 10, my top 3. I'm still vacillating between LeBron James and Michael Jordan. So those are my one. And of course, Kobe is going to be my third. I second your motions. Everything that you have said, your points on. I agree with you. It's quite an inspiration. His story is quite an inspiration. His athleticism is quite an inspiration. And I think that we actually can translate or we can use that as a way to inspire ourselves in any career paths that we choose. Never count yourself out. Never think that you don't really belong. It just takes hard work and just like Dr. Rittenhouse has said from his story, networking, reaching out, applying yourself, and then the sky's the limit. And there are other advice that you can get, and all other nuggets, gems that you can get from Dr. Rittenhouse's book. Go get his book. A lot of ideas that he has shared in that book. He's going to send me a copy so I can share it with my daughter. Thank you, Dr. Rittenhouse. There's so much I want to talk to you about, but our conversation cannot be complete if we do not talk about AI, because that is the elephant in the house, right?
Yeah.
So, you and I discussed the impact of AI on STEM education. What are your thoughts on how AI is shaping the future? What advice will you like to give underrepresented or marginalized students?
Yeah. So AI, as we all know at this point, is a very, very powerful tool. And I think they can definitely use it to help solve problems. And it also is very good at helping you fix grammar and writing issues, especially if your native language is not English. The caveat is you want to use AI as a tool to help you, not a tool to do your work. 'Cause obviously, if you use it as a tool to do your work, A, you're not learning, and then B, well, I guess it kind of builds off A. If you're not learning, you're probably going to fail the exams. So use it as a tool to help you. Don't use it to do the work for you. As far as underrepresented, I think the best thing about AI is it gives you while if you go to your teacher, you don't feel this way, but in most cases, that is a judgment-free zone. Me as a professor, I'm not going to judge you. I understand where you're at. I've been there too. I didn't know what I know today when I was in your position, in your seat. But you don't think that. You think, what if it's a dumb question? Well, that's the beauty of AI. You can go home and you can ask AI all the questions you want to ask. And even though there wouldn't be any judgment if you came to me, you know there's no judgment if you go to AI. So I think it gives people that are kind of shy or don't want to raise their hand in class, even though they all have the same questions, a place to ask questions and not worried about, oh, is this a dumb question, which it's not, but not have to worry about that.
Hmm. I like everything that you're saying. Me being based on my experience when I was coming along, for example, when I was trying to get into engineering school, one of the things that we had to do is come up with, well, in all of my classes, before the exam, we try to get into the professor's head to try to imagine the type of questions that the professor could ask on a test. Have you ever been in that situation? I'm pretty sure, Dr. Rittenhouse, you've done that. Try to get in the head of the teacher, the professor. Try to imagine the type of question that the professor could come up with on a test or a quiz. Been in that situation, sir?
Oh, absolutely. And I would say it's very difficult for some professors the first time you take them. But as if you take the same professor a few times, then you kind of get what they like. It becomes a little easier. Homework are often assigned for a reason. So you kind of get in your professor's head, look at homework problems, and don't, while a lot of times exams can be as easy as copy and paste, meaning if you can walk through one homework problem step by step, you can walk through the exam step by step. But don't necessarily, not all of them are going to be quite that easy. Some professors like to mix it up. So instead of knowing exactly how to do a homework problem step by step, I call it copy and paste. learn why you use this equation. And if you learn why you use this equation for this type of problem, then regardless of what problem the professor asks on the exam, you'll be able to solve it. You're like, "Well, this problem looks so hard, but hmm, it's asking a question about force, and I know I F equals ma. So how can I use that equation? Because normally we use it when force is in motion, and we have something moving. And if you know why you use that equation, it becomes clear what equations you need to use on the exam."
Absolutely. And it becomes the reason why I made that statement earlier was to make this point that AI now has made it easier. Instead of me coming up with all of that, I would have been so happy had we had AI back then. So I didn't have to come up with all these questions. Now I can plug this prompt into an AI prompted. So Dr. Rittenhouse, I'm pretty sure you've had this experience. Other things that we have done, that I have done in the past, particularly in the engineering school, back then I loved to befriend my friends who are in the frat house because they keep copies of the past exam papers. I don't know how they access it, but they do. We used to go to the Union Hall. We put a table together, a bunch of us would sit, around a table. We're talking about the problems based on the past exams. This way we can anticipate what the question, what the test is likely going to be about. Now you can do it with at least with an AI. This is one advantage. Am I correct? Do you want to add more to that, Dr. Rittenhouse?
No, I would like that. And you are 100% correct. Old exams are definitely a thing. Sometimes with like a hot button issue within academia, within the professors, my take is if you're a professor, you know old exams are out there, and you also know people talk to each other. So I always tell my students, if you have one of my old exams, use it to study 100%. I know you have it. I know you talk to someone. In fact, I'm a professor to kind of change up the exam. And to your point, that's why AI is so amazing. So when you create an exam from scratch in the old days, it can be time consuming. But now we have AI. It still takes a little bit of time, but it can definitely make it a lot quicker to come up with similar type questions.
And I think that this is going to put some people out of business because if you go online, you will see a lot of old tests or worksheets online. Now you don't have to pay someone to have access to all of those information. You can use your assistant. You can work with your assistant. But just like Dr. Rittenhouse have said, do not let the AI do the work and then you copy and paste. If you are using the AI for writing, remember the AI, it has to be as an assistant, right? You're working with the AI, you're working together. You can prompt, you can get ideas, you're working together. And when you do use the assistant of the AI to write, it's very important to personalize that writing, to put it in your own perspective rather than just the AI, because AI is a machine, doesn't have the lived experience you do. Dr. Rittenhouse, I don't know anything about coding at all, but I've always been fascinated with apps. I want to create my own apps. So, so there is something called Famous AI and Cursor. I have really been researching that to use it to create an app. What's your thoughts on that?
This is a little bit out of my realm of expertise as I've never used one of these apps to help me, or one of these programs to help me write an app with like that. But from what I do know, I think the term is vibe coding is a great way to build a prototype. This is from what I read online. Vibe coding is a great way to build a prototype and maybe even test it out a little bit. But I think it has trouble with the nuances completely developing the app. Like, so you can have it vibe code the app, but you want little changes. The issue is if you have, again, I haven't used these programs, this is what I learned. If you haven't changed it, it ends up changing your whole thing. It's ending up, or changing more than you wanted it to change, I guess is better. So I think you can, I think you can use it, but you still have to learn how to program to some degree. And on that note, again, learn as you go. You learn as you go. You learn from dealing. So I think it's a great tool and can help you, but you still have to learn how to program to some degree.
Thank you so much. And I know that you have taken a programming or you teach a programming class, correct?
I have programmed pretty heavily for. I actually haven't programmed in like a year and a half. So maybe I'm getting a little rusty, but yeah, I do have a background in programming. Yes, and I actually talk about that in my book. It's not as scary as some people make it out to be. You hear people say it's like learning a second language, and I actually say this in my book. The only people that think learning how to program is like learning a second language are those that know how to program and don't know a second language. It is so much easier than learning a second language. It's scary at first, but once you get into it, you realize you use a lot of the same commands repeatedly, and it really isn't that hard. Of course, you can get more skilled at it, like playing soccer isn't that hard, but you can also be the world's greatest soccer player. So you can definitely take skills to a elite level, but for most people, just doing it isn't that difficult.
Thank you, sir. So we're coming to the end. So let me ask you this question. If you could have a dinner with any famous person, this is still under the role model. If you could have a dinner with any famous person, living or dead, who will it be and why? I know you've talked about Kobe.
Yeah.
Do you want to continue with Kobe or somebody else?
So Kobe was my answer for that question. However, since we already talked about him, I will mix it up. With being put right on the spot with putting no thought into it, the one that comes right to my mind would be, have you ever heard of a motivational speaker called Les Brown?
No, I haven't heard of him.
I love Les Brown. So when I work out, a lot of people listen to music when they work out. I actually listen to motivational talks. And not in one of my favorite, I'll go ahead and I'll put it in stone. My favorite is Les Brown. Basically, he grew up really, really poor, and then he ended up doing really, really well for himself. I highly recommend everyone looking into him. But one of my quotes, not my quotes, one of his quotes that I love a lot is, don't let someone's opinion of yourself become your reality. And I'll take that a step further to build on that. Also, don't let even your own opinion of yourself or your negative opinion of yourself become your reality. You are capable of doing so much more. I think people forget we're all human and we're all capable of the same stuff. Like, I'm a mechanical engineer. My PhD is in mechanical engineering, but my bachelor's degree in aerospace engineering, like 18,000 people, the general population, it was like 300 and some odd aerospace engineers. And they measured 6 different domain cognition, like problem solving speed and stuff like that. You know what they found out? There was no significant difference between the general population and aerospace engineers.
Wow.
We're all human. Like, I think only means you have experience. So I always say being the smartest person in the room has less to do with the people in the room and the topic at hand. So if we have a room full of people, I might be the smartest engineer in the room, assuming it's just a general room with general people, but I'm not the smartest mechanic in the room. I'm not the smartest hairstylist in the room. So being smart is kind of all about experience. If you want to be smart, you need to study, you need to do your homework, and you need to get experience in whatever you want to be smart in. And like, let's do one more fact. I think Albert Einstein, who we all call incredibly smart,
Yes.
and he definitely was in a lot of different things. I think if you look it up, his grade was actually smaller than average.
Yeah.
So, like, you have no excuses. If you're human, you can do everything I'm done. You can do everything you've done. You can do everything Einstein's done. You just have to put in the work.
Excellent, excellent. Many students, I mean, in my experience, many students don't like to be called nerds. I don't see anything wrong with that. I want to be called a nerd. What about you?
I
Will you consider yourself to be a STEM nerd? What is one STEM topic or project that excites you the most?
don't mind it at all. Don't let someone's opinion on you become your reality. I don't let other people's opinion on me necessarily affect my reality. So if they met it, meaning to say, if they met it negatively or even positively, I still have a role. But I think now I kind of grew up more sporty, playing more sports. My high school GPA was like three. I was a B average student, so I think it was like 3.0, maybe slightly under three. I was more into sports. But nowadays, I think you would definitely classify me as a STEM nerd. I say that because like some of my hobbies are like messing with different operating systems.
I thank you so much for sharing that. I asked that question for a reason. I want the students to be proud of their skills and ability. As you said, Dr. Rittenhouse, do not let other people's perspective change your heart condition or take your thunderbolt.
Yes.
It's really, really important for you to be who you're called to be. If you are good, for example, with AI, then be good with it. We are not all perfect in everything, but we can find something that we're pretty good at. So just because you're not good in one thing doesn't mean you're not good in something else.
Yeah.
It depends on what we're talking about, right? So, Dr. Rittenhouse, I truly want to thank you so much for taking the time. I would like to encourage everyone, please go out and buy Dr. Rittenhouse's book. The name of the book is The Secret Key to a STEM Degree, a wisdom I wish I had while pursuing an engineering degree. This is a must buy book. Make it be part of your collection. If you are an educator, please go ahead and buy this book as a resource. Parents, please go ahead. If you know your children are interested in STEAM, please go ahead and get this book. And if you are a woman in STEAM, this book also can be very useful to you. If you're marginalized, you're from a marginalized community, I encourage you to get this book. Let me ask Dr. Rittenhouse, is there one last thing that you want to share that we didn't talk about?
I think we did talk about it, but I love to iterate because now I know what, like I always say, we're all human, we're all human, we're all capable of doing anything we want to do. When I was in K through 12, elementary school, junior high, high school, even undergrad, I didn't realize that everyone's potential is literally unlimited if you actually believe in yourself and put in the work. So don't don't limit yourself to what you think your potential is. Understand your potential is just as good as literally every other human on the earth. So
Okay. Excellent. Well said, Dr. Rittenhouse. So this comes to the conclusion of our conversation with Dr. Rittenhouse. So today our focus was to talk about his book, The Secret Key to STEAM Degree, the wisdom I wish I had while pursuing an engineering degree. I hope you all got a lot of gems out of our conversation today. Please go ahead, share, and also encourage our young ones in our BIPOC community and marginalized community to think about career in STEAM pathways. It will really change their life in a good way, especially in the age of AI. And also would like to advise, the older generation, consider STEM education, consider STEM career. In the age of AI, consider using AI to leverage your game, right? So there is no reason why you should be sitting at the background and watching the world go around. Everybody is moving forward. You got to move forward along with them. Would also like to share this thought. My podcast is not, I'm not representing any organization, but STEAM SPAC, Think STEAM Career Pathways. That is the organization, the podcast that I am representing. I'm not representing my day job. So my thought are my thoughts, not a representation of any other organization. And so I bring professionals like Dr. Rittenhouse onto this podcast to bring awareness to the benefits of STEAM education and STEAM careers, to try to encourage the younger generation in the BIPOC communities or marginalized communities, and even adults and women to consider career in STEAM education and career pathways. We often forfeit when we don't pursue this career path, we forfeit the benefits that we could benefit from as a community. The STEAM education and career pathways have a low representation of minorities. We need to up that level. And this is one of the reasons why I am doing this podcast. And also to highlight some of our heroes in STEAM and STEM that you wouldn't even have heard of unless they come to a podcast like this one. There are many of them that are doing phenomenal work in this field, like Dr. Rittenhouse, doing phenomenal work. There are others that I have interviewed that I've talked with on this program. So this podcast is a platform to hear their achievement, what they're doing in our community, leverage their skills to uplift our community. So when our community pursue degrees and career in STEAM, we are able to sustain our economical growth, our health. We're well informed. Then we're part of the innovation that is taking place here in the United States and across the world. So I just want to thank everyone for taking the time to listen to this episode of STEAM Spark Think STEAM Career Podcast. Also, would like to encourage everyone, please go and support this program. If you like what we're doing, please give us a thumbs up on YouTube, on Buzzsprout, on Amazon, Spotify, wherever you hear this podcast. Support us. Give us a thumbs up, ladies and gentlemen. Support us whenever you can. And go out and also buy my children's book. They are on Amazon. This kind of helped this program too. I want to thank you once more again, Dr. Rittenhouse. Thank you so much for your time. And God bless and happy holidays, sir.
Thank you.
So until next time, everyone, bye for now.